Feeling so stuck in my head that I forget just about everything my therapist said. Maybe I'm self-helpless.
Hey everyone, welcome to Self-Helpless, where science, spirituality, and sustainability are brunch buddies. I'm Delaney Fisher, and details about today's topic can be found in the episode description. Returning listeners, if an episode of Self-Helpless has supported you in some way, a quick 5-star rating or review, if you haven't left one already, honestly keeps this indie podcast alive amidst the big old budget behemoths out there. So thank you for feeding the algorithm a little treat for me. Ad-free episodes are now on Patreon at patreon.com/selfhelpless, and info about some free goodies will be shared in the outro. Okay, it's podcast time.
I'm excited to talk about friendships. Super
Yeah,
important.
especially as adults, as we get older, things can be a little bit different than maybe when you have a built-in friend group in school or, your job or whatever it is. So I thought it would be helpful if maybe we discuss how to find new friendships, how to establish them and kind of build them, and also what to do if you feel like a friendship is no longer a fit. So I would love
Mhm.
to start off with something that I heard you say in an interview that I really, really liked, which was find your purpose, find your people. So, what did you
Mhm.
mean by that exactly? And why are friendships important for our well being in the first place? Why should we even care about having friendships?
What I meant by that in terms of finding your purpose, finding your purpose is you. What are the ingredients to really building our friendships? The ingredients start with us being fully cooked, if that makes sense, or almost cooked, right?
Sure,
Because the
sure.
more that I understand myself, the better able I am at attracting my tribe, right? And recognizing when maybe this really isn't my tribe, even protecting myself, even having boundaries around new friendships and things like that.
Right.
Research talks about adult friendships is probably one of the hardest things to cultivate. Just like you said, if we didn't establish because we lived in the same town or we had the same fifth grade teacher, we can complain about, like those automatic common things.
Right.
But to figure people out and rebuild trust and all that, that's a big feat. So finding your purpose, the thing that drives you, right? And then it's going to drive you to the spaces, the energies, and the people that vibe with that and help you grow that purpose. In terms of why are friendships so important? They are our found family. Why is family so important? Community so important? Because we as human beings, all the beings, are really collectivists. Like we need others. We need others also to not just like be present, but to be mirrors, right? To reflect back to us. Like I was saying, like you might be almost cooked, not fully cooked, but our friends help us continue cooking, continue growing. And
Yeah.
sometimes in these interactions, they're able to give us a truth that we would not have thought upon. We think about a lot of things. It's like a echo chamber. We're thinking again and again. After I give it to myself, that's what I hear of myself. And if no one else comes
Mm,
along to correct me, to show me something from their culture that I didn't even know existed or was allowed, right? If no one else
yes.
gives me permission, I'll stay the same. And we want to evolve. It's a natural thing. We want to evolve. So our friendships, they help us with really what our purpose is. It is to evolve, to learn. I also think our purpose is like to play, have pleasure, all those things, but others help us incorporate new ways of having play, pleasure, love, experiences. So
Absolutely. I mean, the more that we learn about, human survival and needs, I mean, community is like one of the main pillars of human health, right? We deeply need
yes.
human connection. And when do you know you're in a healthy friendship? What does that feel like? And when do you know that you're in an unhealthy one and something needs to change?
Healthy friendship is I understand your I say boundaries, sensitivities, and I feel so much respect for you that I respect your boundaries easily. I'm not like bothered by them. I'm not offended by them, and vice versa. An unhealthy friendship is the lopsided one where I'm giving what I give and you are literally just taking all the time, right?
Mm,
Like I have to be the sounding board, but when it's time for me to call you for something, you're never available. Or maybe you're available, but you don't have it's not that you expect people to be who you are. You're just kind of there waiting for your turn to be able to get something from me.
right.
And that can be hard for people who like to be needed because for them, they're like, well, this is great because this person needs me and that's what I wanted to have. But that's when you get into that space of that self development and that growth where you realize that's not, you don't want to keep just pouring out of yourself. Your cup needs to be filled as well. So
Yes. You mentioned something that I also would love to ask you about, which was kind of being in an echo chamber, right? Like, how do you
yeah.
balance having friendships that with people who share your values and your interests, but also having diversity in your friendships? Maybe people who don't always agree with you, or who can challenge you,
Hmm.
or who can open you up to a new perspective that you have not had before. How do we
Hmm.
find that balance and make sure it's a healthy balance?
Mm. I think there are things that we want to have in common, and we actually don't want to have everything in common, right? Like, I think we should be intentional about not finding our duplicate or our
Sure.
twin, right? Like, it's nice, it feels comfortable, but it's also invigorating, I guess. It's like exercise when I'm pushing a new muscle, right? So one of my favorite spaces to find friends, although there are friendship apps, I like finding friends in the real world. I've done both, so I can kind of, attest to both.
Yeah.
But going to spaces where we have a common, mm, it could be a hobby, but also a common purpose, a common love, or I don't want to say a common hate, a common dislike, a common
Uh-huh.
concern, around something, right?
Sure,
Um,
sure.
someone else is passionate about, I don't know, saving the dolphins, then
Right.
I probably want to be with other people who understand my passion around it. Or maybe they have a different perspective as to why I should be excited about the passion that I already had. Maybe it was kind of
Mm.
dying out a little bit, and you have another reason because your culture enjoys dolphins from a spiritual aspect, and I was just thinking about them from a scientific aspect, right?
Oh, I love
And so
that.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes us both more well-rounded. But what happens when your beliefs and my beliefs, they're completely opposite? One of the
Mm.
things that I guess some of the people around me when I was growing up would recognize, my friends were always super diverse. Like my two best friends, one was Jewish, Irish, and gay. And when we were growing up, this was the thing. Like it was, it was like
Yeah.
that was a problem, right? And then
Yeah.
my other friend was Buddhist Chinese, right? So the three of us had nothing in common other than we all came from cultures where our parents were pretty tough on us.
Mm.
We had an understanding of what it was to be in a different type of socioeconomic class, and we within our own groups were different than everybody else in the group. So we knew what it was to be different from each other. And it was
Yeah.
when we started to, I guess, get a little bit older because we met in seventh grade. And we did start to align more with some of the things that were super important to us. We could see where we would clash more, right? There were weddings and events that I couldn't go to for cultural reasons. Um,
Mm.
and you have to think about, like, is that a reason that I don't want to have a friendship with someone because I'm not doing everything with them? I think we can actually mistake the fact that we think we're supposed to mesh with our friends. We're supposed to have everything with them, and we don't have to. I'm not allowed to come to this particular thing with you. You can still share it with me. You can tell me about it. But this also kind of grows this ability to not be sensitive and offended by everything because you've allowed yourself to be around people who can have a boundary. I can have my boundary and still love you.
Those are such great examples, and I love your example. Let's use the dolphin lover example for a second. So let's say that this
Okay.
person, they have their dolphin friends that they save dolphins with, but then maybe they go to a family event and, Uncle Jim is being a real jerk about their love of dolphins, and he's talking about how much he hates dolphins, right?
Yes.
He hates them. He thinks we should kill them and eat them, whatever
Yes.
it is, right? Where do we draw the line with, look, Uncle Jim, I can be your friend and your family member, but I don't want to talk about this. Or when do you know when it's reached a level of maybe disrespect or dismissal in a relationship to where somebody's making you feel bad about caring about dolphins and you actually have to maybe distance yourself from that person? When do we draw that kind of line? And
Mhm.
what are the signs of maybe when we feel like, actually, I don't think this relationship is really a fit for me anymore?
What are the percentages here? Like, what
Right.
percent of time do I enjoy when I see you? Like, I don't know. Is it like 75% of the time I'm like, I feel good? Is it coming down to 25%? Because that feels like a just a time suck out of my life. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I'm giving a whole lot around keeping it together just to be around you. And this, it's interesting when we talk about disrespect and things like that because people's perception is different. So how do you even
Yes.
know you're disrespecting me? You think you're just saying something that just makes sense and that I'm just foolish, or you're correcting me. You're helping me think better. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um,
Right.
and in that case, it is very much about us setting the boundaries and pulling back because we want to speak about the things that we love, but we don't want to try to change someone into loving it as well.
Yeah.
And my thing in terms of mental health is not personalizing things like that. Not being like, They don't even care. They're dismissing me. What if they are? In their mind, they think that they're correct. They think that that's
Mhm.
like that is the way that it should be. And I don't want to put upon them something they're trying to put upon me either, right? I don't want to make them feel the way that they're making me feel. So when you
Right.
realize that you have to brace yourself and before you get into someone's presence, that's probably someone's presence you don't need to be in.
Like, do you feel good most days, or like the majority of the time do you feel good, or is that really, really dipping?
Hmm.
What about the people who seem to be happy without friends or without many friends, or at least they say that they are happier without friends, right? They don't consider themselves people. They like their alone time.
Hmm.
Could there also be a fear of intimacy or a fear of being hurt by somebody that could be driving them to
Ooh.
avoid friendships? Like, how do you figure that one out?
Probably both. I am that person. I'm going to be like 45 in about a week. So it's been a journey of like
Nice.
friendship groups and the understanding of the beginnings and endings of relationships and the beginning and endings of different relationships with yourself. When you get to the space where you know what peace actually feels like, and oftentimes you don't know until you really like maybe you're forced to be on your own. And then you
Yeah.
realize like, oh my God, there's such a difference in how my nervous system is opposed to
Right.
when I'm with a bunch of people. Maybe you also start to realize that I am empathic or I'm a highly sensitive person. How do I care for myself? How do I regulate myself? Do they give me space for that? Are they constantly making me use those tools? That type of thing. There comes a space where you can be hurt in certain ways where you are afraid because people are scary at times, right? Again,
Mhm.
people coming from so many different cultures, back to the point around people not even knowing they're disrespecting you. So when you recognize that you don't have control over other people, you will go to your own space and understand that I have control over my environment. And
Right.
then maybe start to siphon in people one by one that I can build a slow relationship from my new awareness of when my body and my spirit is comfortable, right? Sometimes it's
Yes.
not necessarily like your friends are bad, but you made connections in a space where you were more of a people pleaser. You were more codependent. You didn't have your own identity. You were maybe just looking to be with them because you wanted to be them or be their identity. But once you start to grasp yourself, I have definitely less friendships, but they are way more intentional and way more intense
Right.
because they're so important. I understand the value of them when you've gone through losing the friendships, when you've gone through betrayals or misunderstandings. You really value people who you can communicate with very easily, even when you are hurt, even when you're thinking, I need space, but you know, this person is not going to punish you for that. Um,
Right.
the problem happens when you go into that isolation and you get into that echo chamber again. You formulate these ideas, these scary ideas that everybody's like this, everyone's trying to hurt me, or I just don't deserve for people to treat me this way, that type of thing. That person who says, I don't need any people at all, we do need to still people. We
Mhm.
do. We need to talk to other people. We need to be seen. It is a real thing. We need to be validated. We need to be affirmed. We need to be loved. We are loving beings. So we need that exchange with other beings. It's like school. You graduate from that really hurtful bully space and you realize how to recognize the bully and recognize like I guess the way that you save yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can have both people who are healthy alone and who are scared alone.
Right.
So
No, totally makes sense. And I think, I mean, it obviously makes sense as you age and as your values change and as your life changes that your friendships reflect that, right? Like not everybody is going to be a
yes,
lifelong friend, and some people will be.
yes,
But
yeah,
you hear about people who get sober and they no longer hang out with their drinking friends because that was what
yes,
was connecting them, or people who become
yeah.
parents want to have more friends that are parents because they understand that experience. Your friendships can really reflect you if you are being
Mhm.
honest with who you truly are.
Yes,
You mentioned some
yes,
meeting people. Like, let's maybe talk about ways that people can put themselves in environments or what tools are out there for them to make new friends. What are some of your favorite
yeah.
tools, apps, or even ideas for somebody who wants to meet new friends? Maybe they just moved somewhere new hobby or whatever.
It used to be my go-to used to always be Meetup. They Meetup will have what is it like? They'll do game nights. So if you're
Yeah.
into like chess, if you're into anything, really anything, I joined a a scooter club, but the scooter couldn't go more than 45 miles an hour. So we all had to we were
Perfect.
like slow scooter people where you all scooter together and it'd be
That
just
is
like
cute.
just ridiculous.
I love that. So, so good. Yes.
Yes. What I have loved if you're like a solo traveler, there are apps for that. for people just
Right.
meeting with different people from where you are and traveling together. I love traveling with people and alone as well, but it's something different about having experiences where you can share it with someone else, where you can
Right.
smile with someone else, or you can be scared with someone else, or whatever that is. But there's something really nice about being able to bring people with you for experiences. Like that's probably going to be the go-to for how to make our friendships the best way. Find experiences that other people want to have with you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually a friend of mine had me join their like a meetup situation recently because I love long
Mhm.
walks. I walk every single night. And not,
Oh,
not all my friends like to
yes.
take a 2-hour walk, right? I get it. And
Yeah,
so we
yeah,
did that.
yeah,
We
yeah.
joined like a walking group and it was so nice. And
Mhm.
just to like be out around people who enjoy the same thing on, a weeknight or something. I have friends who have used, I
Yes.
think it's like Bumble for friendships.
Bumble BFF.
Yes,
Mhm.
I just heard about that one. I've
Yes,
had friends
yes.
that had a really good luck on there. One of my friends also mentioned that she had a great some great luck on like there's a mom app. You can like actually enter in how old your children are and try to match up with other people with the same age kids.
Mhm.
And my stepmom is in her 50s. Yeah, 50s. And
Uh-huh.
she
Mhm.
joined at the local Parks and Rec, joined a pickleball league, met friends that way, started volunteering at the local like senior center, met friends that way. There's this unfortunate narrative that, the older you get, the harder it is to make friends, or you're too old to make new friends, or all that. It all depends on how you look at it,
Yes.
right?
You might not meet the people that you want to meet. You might have to go through a few people, but you're just like, whatever. You're more yourself when you keep getting older. And so it's easier to
Right.
attract the people and to just speak up. And people like when on Bumble BFF, it looks just like the dating profile. And they would say stuff like, I just moved. I'm looking for a long-term best friend, like very clear, like this is what I want. Again, you know yourself, you know what you want. I'm not looking for somebody who's only going to call me once a month. I'm looking for someone who's going to walk the dog with me. It's platonic dating, basically, is
Absolutely.
matchmaking.
There's just so much out there if anybody is feeling very defeated
Yes.
and lonely around this.
Yes.
I started thinking about this episode and thinking about how have I met, my closest friends or my best friends.
Mhm.
Everything has pretty much been through work. You meet work friends that, become lifelong friends, or I know
Mhm.
that there's also a difference between working at a job maybe you don't really care about what the work is versus finding a
Yes.
job that you actually care about the mission of the company. That's
Yes.
also a different type of friendship that can emerge from there. One thing I do want to mention is what about the person who's saying, that all sounds great, but I live in a really small town with not many people around, not a whole lot of in-person
Mhm.
opportunity. So, what could they do to cultivate a community
Mhm.
where probably going to start online, but what can you do to like bring people together and actually meet in real life?
There has to be the intention for it. So I have an online platform of the support groups. And all of my support group members are from all over the place, all over the world, all over the country. Once in a year, we want to figure out a way for us to come together, things like that.
Yeah.
So once you feel that comfortable with someone, that next step of getting on a plane and going somewhere isn't that hard. It's surprising. You'll realize like I really want to meet you. Like I want to be. I love your energy just in this virtual room. I can't imagine what it would be like to be standing right next to you, right? You
Right,
start to
right.
know all the things about everyone's kids and their husbands and all the things. So I feel like finding places where you are looking for a specific type of support sometimes can be really good,
Oh, yeah.
where someone else can understand the struggle and maybe how you need to be supported because they need to be supported that way as well. So,
Yes, that's such a good one that I didn't think of. I joined a support group a couple years back, and it was incredible
mhm,
how I instantly
mhm,
felt connected to these strangers who were all going through something
yeah,
similar. That was a
yes,
wild experience. I have never felt that before. And, maybe somebody tuning in, maybe you are the person that starts the Facebook group and plans the trip or the retreat or something
yes,
around a hobby or something. Like you don't always have to wait for somebody else to invite you, or maybe the thing that you want to do doesn't
yes.
exist yet and you're the person that drives that could
You
be.
make it.
Yeah, you're the one who makes it.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
let's say that somebody has met somebody new through one of these hot tips you just
Mhm.
gave, and they've clicked and they want to pursue a friendship with the person. What are some
Mhm,
things to keep in mind in the beginning of a new friendship when it comes to maybe setting
mhm,
expectations? They all have different capacity for how often they can see each other. Some people are looking for a
mhm.
best friend, some people can only be an acquaintance. What can we do with those types of things? Who is the person in your life that's the hardest to shop for during the holidays, birthdays, really any time of year? I have been told that I am actually that person. I'm a minimalist, so I like quality, functionality, something that's ethically sourced. When I purchase a new gift for myself or someone else, I prioritize all of those things as well, which is why I love Cozy Earth. They have incredible everyday essentials like comfy loungewear and bedding. I have their bamboo stretch knit pajama set in one of my favorite colors, olive green. It is the softest thing that's ever touched my body. They have this bubble blanket. It's got a nice weight to it, but it's not too heavy. It's just something that people immediately notice when they walk into our living room and they want to touch it and try it out. Absolutely makes such a great gift. Black Friday has come early at Cozy Earth. Right now, you can stack my code HELPLESS on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals will not last, so start your holiday shopping today. I personally like to get my shopping done early, and if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention that you heard about Cozy Earth on Self-Helpless. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth.
I think it is important to ask those things and to share those things. Like, first of all, that's a test. Like, how did you respond? Okay, no, we can definitely be friends.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember I had a client, she was so frustrated because she became friends with someone who basically didn't have the level of independence that she did. Right. So it
Uh,
almost felt like she was always like dragging someone to please be independent with me. Again, you're not in a romantic relationship, but maybe the level of commitment that this person, would have is different. And I think
right.
because of her background, she was afraid of giving that type of commitment. So it's kind of understanding what have your previous friendships been like? Not to make everyone do like an interview like a therapist would, but I do want to know your family background. It helps me understand what barriers could be there, and even
Mm,
spaces that maybe I can hop in for new perspective and healing. If all of your siblings were always, let's say, bullying you, what would it be like for us to have a friendship where we talked about it and we committed to not saying some of those harsh things that we know that other person might be sensitive to? What would it be like
mm,
to show somebody something they've never seen before? I'm not saying everyone can be that way, but I feel like, yes, knowing ourselves is good, but knowing our gifts as friends is important.
right.
So being able to walk into a space and understand, how might I impact this person? So I think identifying for each other, what are the ways that we would help each other? How do we make community for each other? And if we
Yeah.
don't, it just eventually kind of erodes because maybe one person is just using the other person, it's not going to be helpful. So I think understanding that, like understanding your attributes and how that can impact the other person, and both of you having those conversations, I think is really helpful. Maybe
Yeah.
people, and I'm starting a new business, and this is something you can really help with, and I can help you with the skill that I have. We would talk about people, like, oh, you don't want to just use people. We utilize all of our relationships. That's what they're for.
Mm,
Or we could just be by ourselves. Seriously. So I
yeah.
think we should be out loud about, how do we utilize this relationship? How can I be of service? How are you of service?
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've
Mhm.
definitely been in situations, I live in the Los Angeles area, so I meet a lot of people who are not from here, who have just moved here, who,
Yeah.
and I grew up here, so I have all my family, all my friends here for the most part. Some people have moved away, but I know
Mhm.
that in the past, I've had to be very honest about my expectations in a new friendship
Yeah.
because somebody will be kind of looking for, their new friend base. So they have just moved here and they're looking for a best friend or a new best friend. And I have to be very honest, like I don't have the capacity for that. I barely see my family and stuff,
Mhm.
as much as I
Mhm.
want to. I want you to find that best friend, but I can't be that for you. I have to be more of an every once in a while friend or whatever, just
Yes.
because of we're
Yes.
in completely different situations. And so I think sometimes I have had to have that conversation pretty early on, and sometimes not. Sometimes I think people, if they invite you to certain things and you're not available, they kind of figure out like how
I
often we're
get
seeing each
it.
other. Like
Yeah.
we both kind of figure out, okay,
Yeah.
this is a good pacing. So I don't know, any tips for conversations like that can, be uncomfortable in some ways, and
Mhm.
maybe even
Mhm.
how to figure that out up front so people don't have hurt feelings like 6 months down the road. Like how often do you plan to want to see your friends, or how often do you want to talk on the phone? Like I know that I'm not a phone talker. I like to see people in person, but
Mhm.
there's a few friends
Mhm.
I have to talk to on the phone because they do not live here.
Yes, yes. I remember one of my friends, he he would bring like a resume.
A physical friendship resume that he would bring, or like
Yes, he would bring. Yes,
I
Mikey
thought
was so silly, but yes,
I thought you were talking metaphorical, but this is actually quite incredible. Please
yes,
continue.
yes,
That
right.
is
But
so
I
funny.
think
I love that. Oh my
yes,
gosh.
yes. But we should feel that confident about ourselves. Like, listen, this is what I'm bringing to the table. What are you bringing to the table? Let's talk about it. You know?
Oh my gosh, I have a friend that
Mhm.
says they go through like a renaissance once a year, where around like the new year time they evaluate
Yes.
all their friendships and they think, okay, who do I want to pour more energy into? Who do I want to maybe not? Who isn't a fit anymore? Whatever. But I think
Yes.
that is a funny hot tip as well.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that. So your friend is like, does this spark joy or not?
Yes, yes, absolutely. They literally ask that question. Yes, Marie Kondoing their relationships. Everybody feels different about family too. You know, some
Mm,
people see their family once or twice a year. Maybe they're not super close, or maybe they
yes.
really are. They have a close long distance relationship. Some
Hmm.
people view their family as their friends and some of their best friends, right? And
Hmm.
so that can be interesting too when you're building new friendships, is people feel differently about their family and they might not understand the other person's
Yeah.
perspective about where they kind of fall in their list of priorities. Anything
Mm.
that you'd like to share around that piece?
If you are used to a family system, you're not really gonna know to explain to another person, like, this is how I am with my family, unless you've met with a whole lot of people who are different than you. You're just gonna
Mhm.
think that that's how people's families are. And I was gonna say, when you were like, "Oh, what can you do so 6 months down the road you're not," I don't think that that's preventable, to be completely honest. Like,
Yeah.
it can just happen. You can't get all the questions answered, right? You
Right. You
know?
can't front load
Like,
all
would you
that. Yeah.
say so I think asking questions about that will, I guess, elicit stories from other people is really helpful. But getting people to talk about these pivotal experiences, like, how they felt when something in particular happened, like when this person was voted for, or whatever. So
Yeah.
ask things that help them tell you stories.
That's a really great
Hmm.
conversational tip, because I was going to ask you, what if people are nervous about meeting a new friend for the first time? They don't know where to start, what to talk about. And I like this. What
Hmm.
questions are going to be like lead to storytelling versus what's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? Really
Yes.
short ones. And I know for
Yeah.
me, I have had to be very mindful. I mean, I've been podcasting for like 8 years. And so
Hmm.
I come to these conversations and there is this, unspoken agreement that we're going to talk about pretty intimate details a lot of the time. And I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you some pretty hard, intimate questions. And I have to
Hmm.
be mindful not to bring that to the table in a new friendship setting, because not everybody wants to tell their whole life story and all the deepest, darkest parts of themselves over coffee when you're first meeting somebody. And so, what is the balance of maybe asking questions that will start to build some trust, but maybe not going too fast to where I don't know, you're maybe making somebody nervous, I guess.
We say a thing and then we get quiet. We're not listening to respond. We're listening to understand for real. And people, that's what they were looking for a friend for anyway. Not coming there with like, okay, I have these 5 questions. It is really like, I'm going to present a thing and then I'm going to be quiet and then let a person kind of unfold that skill. Listening is absolutely a skill. It is leaning in, really looking at somebody and listening to understand, not to respond.
Absolutely. And by listening, you're also hearing what they're comfortable sharing, and you can ask more questions about that versus maybe
Yes.
what they glazed over, right? And
Yeah.
so you build
Yes.
you
Yes.
build more trust and
Yes.
intimacy. Yeah, no, that those are all such
Mhm.
great tips. Okay, I
Mhm.
have to know, as a therapist, what kind of
Yes.
boundaries have you had to set with
Ooh.
friendships? I mean, that's got to be a really tough line between being a friend, being having that intimacy, and also not dipping into this like other expertise that you have.
I'm a therapist because of who I am already, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing. As a therapist, I have the boundaries where like I don't tell the people about me. Like that's not my job to tell them about me. So
Yeah.
I have to be more mindful with therapy clients than with friends. So I don't actually have my friends calling me being like, "Oh my God, give me therapy." Does it feel therapeutic to talk to me? Yes. But again, that's just because it's my personality. So
Right.
I don't necessarily have to actually set boundaries with them. If I have to set boundaries with anyone, it might be with the client who wants to hug,
Right.
not necessarily with friends.
Ah,
So
okay. That
they
makes
don't they
sense.
don't burn me out. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's really good.
Yes.
And I would imagine for you, if you met somebody new and there was that lack of reciprocity, like they're wanting to talk about themselves the whole time, that could be like,
Yes.
okay, I think this person wants some free advice. Or
There, yes. And
they,
it never,
they,
that doesn't actually, it doesn't happen. You know, that's true. You're absolutely right. Therapists have talked about that. Maybe it's like more family members who are a little bit codependent, who want to
Mm,
dump. They want to just dump all the stuff, right? And they, yes, they
gotcha.
don't ask about you. They don't have any expectations. So family members are a little bit more wonky when it comes to boundaries, I would say. Not really
Mm-hmm.
friendship.
Totally makes
Mhm.
sense. And,
Yeah.
we've all heard the phrase like, be the person you want to attract when it comes to dating and romantic relationships. Do you
Yes.
agree with that
Yes.
for friendships as well? Do you think that is applicable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's that whole process of that getting to know who you are. um if you are friendly, you're probably going to attract friendly. If you're not, don't expect to attract someone who's super bubbly and friendly with you, who's maybe I'll get someone who's going to make me finally smile. It's not going to work that way. They don't, why would
Right.
they want to be around you? They don't want to, no, they want to keep smiling.
Right. Or like, yeah, I guess if you're just like, I don't know, joining hobbies and clubs and things, I think maybe activities that you don't actually like doing, you're going to meet people
Oh,
who like those things and you don't. So it's really
yeah.
important that you probably get very honest with what do you actually like doing and what do you not like? And stop
Yes.
pretending to like those things so you can meet the right people as well, right?
Yeah. The right people are the people who are right for you. It's not, quantity. It really is quality. If you have
Right.
one really good, genuine friend, you're rich. It's
Yeah.
truly.
And what do you
Hmm.
think, kind of along the same lines, when we talk about love languages, attachment styles, those types of concepts, you think those are really helpful to understand for friendships as well? We're usually talking about them in romantic settings. Anything that you want to share about that?
It's funny. I have a friend who is a bit avoidant, and as am I. So it's really funny how we navigate each other. But because we do talk about our attachment styles in the beginning, I would say we would be less afraid or less offended because we understand ourselves, so we understand the other person. So I think those are the things that are kind of nice to talk about out loud if you know about it. That is an interest too, right? If let's say mental health and wellness is an interest of yours, you probably want to connect with other people where that is their interest, where their growth mindset. They have a
Right.
growth mindset, because otherwise another person might feel like what you're doing is it's too much, or it's you're just going to annoy them.
Right.
So yeah, I think it is helpful to talk about like what my actual personality is, what my pitfalls are, and what my sensitivities are. I need you to not be offended when I do a weird thing that a sensitive person would do.
I know for me, learning about my attachment style, love language, all those types of concepts have been very helpful not to take
Hmm.
things personally in my
Yes,
relationships, whether it's with my husband or my friends or my family.
yes, yes.
And I think sometimes when maybe somebody has worked up the courage to like invite somebody to something and that person says no, it might not necessarily be because they don't want to spend time with you, but maybe they just don't like doing that thing or whatever. I think that's really important to learn about those things too, or how people give and show and receive love. And it's not personal. Like I am much older than my siblings. So
Hmm.
my siblings are my gosh, 19, 22 and 20
Ooh,
23. I'm 35,
yeah,
way older
uh-huh,
than them. And
yeah.
so when they might invite me somewhere where I'm like, that's young people shit. I am not doing that. Okay. I need to be at home with my cup
What
of
is
tea.
this?
Right. And it's not like I would love to see you, but let's like meet in the middle with the activity.
Yeah,
Right. And so just to keep that in mind and not take things personally, and maybe even ask that question on your first friendship date. What
yeah,
kind of things do you enjoy doing? What do you not like doing? What's like your perfect day out or day in or
mhm,
whatever?
yeah.
I have found that to be so helpful and I've learned the hard way. I'm I'm curious to know how you feel about the word best friend. Have you seen it be helpful in relationships? Have you seen it not be so
Mhm.
helpful? There could be some mixed feelings around that.
I think that as I've gotten older, it hasn't really had as much relevance.
Yeah.
The identity of a best friend was you had cliques, you had things in school, so you had to identify like who's mine. Basically, is what it was. And as
Yeah.
adults, we can't. I mean, we can, but it's not the same. We have the best cooking friend. We have the best babysitting friend, right? We have the best friend that listens when I'm crying about this particular thing. So everyone is best at their own thing. So, I guess you could have several best friends, or you could just call them by their name. That will work too. I don't want to say his name is John. This is my John. That doesn't sound right. Like, okay.
Yes. I think it's so funny because I don't know, the older I get, it's like, I mean, if you're a friend in my life, you're one of my best friends. You're my close friend, you're my
Mm,
best friend. Call yourself whatever you
yes.
want, but I just don't have the capacity or interest or time for like acquaintances or more surface level stuff
Yeah.
anymore. And
Yes.
so when I was younger, I think that was different, like having a label of a best friend or whatever. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Like that did feel more significant or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or it can be uncomfortable for people if somebody thinks of somebody as their best friend and the other person does not match that energy, or maybe they have a different best friend, right? I actually like, I don't think I really enjoy that word so much anymore because I do feel like it
Mm-hmm.
can be, I think if you've had some weird experiences in the past where that word has felt possessive, or
Yes.
where you felt like
Yes.
you were maybe punished in certain ways for having other friendships, it kind
Yes.
of like can turn you off from that word completely.
Absolutely.
Um,
It can.
what's like one thing somebody can think about? Let's say that they're wanting to make new friends, but they have really been betrayed in the past. Maybe it's like a best friend, cheated on with like their partner or something, like a really big betrayal, or maybe they were in a
Mm-hmm.
very controlling or manipulative relationship, a friendship in the past. How can
Mm-hmm.
they come to a new relationship being mindful that they don't want to fall into a similar pattern, but
Mm-hmm.
also allowing the novelty of a relationship? You're obviously getting to know each other. There might be some missteps or miscommunication. How can you trust yourself in that situation to see the signs properly or to know when you're being too hyper vigilant?
Trust yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So you do this work in between this, from this betrayal to the new friendship. You don't know until that friend does a thing that makes you like, what? You don't know that you are unhealed, so to speak, and healing takes a really long time until that person does something that triggers a memory, right?
Right.
When that happens, a part of that healing is being, it is the belief that things can be different. And if I actually believe that, and I like this person and I feel like they're worth this discomfort, I'm going to say to them, this is what I'm experiencing. Because I want to
Mhm.
give them an opportunity not to prove themselves, but to help me regulate this trigger. That's
Right.
what it is. Because again, I feel like our friendships, our relationships, especially when you've been through a lot, they are brought into our lives to help us see another truth, to help us see that everyone's not going to betray you, right? So that's like, if you stop at the betrayal, you will live the rest of your life thinking like this is what it is. You have to have these beautiful people that kind of bump up against you, whether or not they ever become like a deep friend, but someone has to crack you open to the reality of there is something else, there is more than betrayal. But you're just not going to know until you, that little wound gets that little touch and you respond to it. I think being honest about it, like, if I'm having a friendship date, I'm like, listen, homie, my last best friend slept with my man, and I'm telling you right now, it's not cool. Are you gonna sleep with my man? Like, I was straight up asking, like, is that what you're
Yeah.
trying? Is that what we're doing? I'm just trying
Is that one of your love languages?
to
We're gonna have a problem.
tremendously.
Okay, let's say that somebody has realized that maybe a friendship no longer really fits them anymore,
Hmm.
and they don't want to see somebody anymore. Maybe the whole letting it fizzle is not really working out, right? Where it's just kind of an unspoken kind of drop off. They have to have
Hmm.
a conversation with somebody. What would your guidance be for going into a conversation for actually ending a friendship?
It's a breakup. And how do you do breakups?
Yeah,
We want to be respectful and have that conversation like adults, because give this person maybe an opportunity to talk about where they were coming from. It doesn't mean that I'm negating the breakup, but it means
right.
that I gave you space to explain yourself, to be understood, and then I gave myself space for you to understand why I felt like I needed this distance, and I felt like
Yeah,
I put a lot of effort into even correcting the situation. Like, this is a time that I kind of talked to you about and remember, and then this time again, there's no nice way. I remember someone being like, it was like a long distance thing. It's romantic, but I'm saying all breakup is breakup. It was
yeah,
over video, right? Because it was hard to, I'm like, it was hard to get you on the phone. What did you want me to do? If I text you, you would have complained that it was a text message. There's no great way to do it. So what I would say is, before you have a conversation, you need to be resolute in what you're going to do, so that you don't step into a space where someone's going to convince you to like do something different than what you wanted to do. Even imagining the questions that my friend's going to ask, the whys, it's going to happen, right?
right.
Prepare to answer that. If we're not blocking, we're talking, answer all the questions honestly, but to not be spoken out of your own mind. It's really being
Mhm.
strong with that. but don't expect it to be nice. That's just probably not what's going to happen.
Favorite quote from you today is you're either blocking or talking. Yeah,
So,
no, I love the honesty. But I think that's super helpful to basically expect that it's going to feel like shit or it's going to not
yes,
be fun and it's not going to
yes,
be, you might not be able to end this thing in a nice, pretty little neat package. If you think that there's a perfect or right way to do something, you might be expecting something. And then when it's exactly the opposite, you might feel like,
yeah.
"Oh, what did I do?
Oh
Did I do
Lord.
something wrong?" All the what ifs.
Hmm.
What if somebody does not want to end the relationship? They want to repair or they want to reestablish boundaries or
Hmm.
expectations after maybe it's like many years have gone by. They care about the relationship, but it's not working the way that it is.
I would come from the perspective because we do all evolve and grow. Like I have grown so much and I've realized these things about me, right?
Mm,
I've
mhm.
realized the things that I love. I've realized the things that I have held on to because of my family or the things that I thought were okay and make it about you and you're different, like how you are different and then present to them like how can we come together where we're at, you know what I mean, where
Yeah.
you're at, where I'm at, what can we do that we can evolve our boundaries, our understandings about each other. Is like, can do you even still want to be friends with this new version of me, that type of thing. It's coming from there because the other person won't feel like they're being attacked for whatever it is that happened. And I'm not saying say they did cross a boundary. Again, the thing about it is we evolve and people, like I was talking about disrespect, everyone doesn't know what disrespect to you is. They have their understanding of
Right.
it. So if you're coming at it where you're not angry, but you really can hold that idea that we're people are just different, and if we don't say anything out loud we're just not going to know where we're different. It's not personal, I'm not trying to come at you, it's just we're different. And I'm as an adult we should know like that's just what it is, people are different. um
Yeah.
if you have a friendship with somebody that it's been a good friendship and you think that it's worth saving, more than likely they have some of those thoughts as well. Like they value amending, they value repairing, they value growth. You know what I mean? You probably know
Mhm.
enough about your friend to know this conversation will be okay. It's interesting to me if you are friends with someone and you're like, I have no idea what they're gonna say or do. I don't know. Do you have a friendship with them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can
No.
usually predict their behavior or their
Mm-hmm.
response and
Mm-hmm.
know how to approach it. That's such a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of talks about current times kind of we're in a loneliness epidemic, right?
Oh
People
yeah.
are more lonely than ever. And do you
Yeah.
think if everybody had one true authentic friendship, do you think that that is a contributing factor that maybe people truly do not have that? Like, do you think loneliness is maybe not having the right support or the right friends? Or, can you feel lonely even when you do have that?
Oh gosh, yeah. Loneliness is not feeling seen. That's what
Mhm.
it is, right? And so if I'm with a group of people who I'm always my representative with, I'm the person who you think I'm supposed to be, but I'm not really my quirky self or my if I'm not allowed to be, then that can feel very, very lonely because I can't put my
Yeah.
shoulders down. I can't really exhale ever. So yes, if you have that person who sees you where you don't have to perform for, but I just get to be, that would stave off a lot of loneliness. As long as I have my community, whether it's one, three, five, whatever, it's the exchange of the energy, the free flowing, authentic energy is where you're not lonely. And that can be accomplished with one person. My only concern with that would be, again, if you do have a romantic relationship or you don't, you might rely on that so heavily that you make it kind of that. And then what happens when
Yes.
it gets into a romantic relationship? So you don't want to be so reliant, but yes, it still does help with your loneliness. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch that documentary? And I cannot remember what it's called, but it was about the young man who had the disability and he was not able to meet up with friends in person. And so he played this video game every night and
Oh.
developed these really deep relationships through his video
Hmm.
game, almost like a secret life that he wasn't super open about. But his
Hmm.
his family thought that he's really lonely and he doesn't have any friends. And
Oh.
then he actually passed away, and then all these people basically showed up. They were able to basically learn about how he did have these deep relationships. That's not a question, but oh my gosh, I highly recommend the
Yeah.
doc. I was a mess by the end, but it really goes to show you too that friendships can be, I mean, they can look a lot of different ways.
I would love to see that. I have a son, and so that is so my son. We moved. He moved to different cities, and he had a best friend
Yeah.
they stayed connected, and his friends that he went to elementary with, it is through their Xbox. Like that is full blown relationships. So much stuff would happen. And then whenever I could, get them actually physically together, I do that. But those are the deepest relationships that he has with the people that he had to be separated from. And one of them also like will travel abroad, that type of thing. So yeah, absolutely. You might think like, oh, he doesn't have any. Like he does. He has his friendships, and they're very important friendships. Yeah.
Absolutely. Dr. Joy, this was such a great conversation. I loved chatting with you today. So thank you for your time. I just want to give you a chance if there's anything that you want to leave people with, and then where can people find you, your work, all that good stuff.
I think the most important thing that I want to leave everybody with is get outside and just have experiences. And also be okay with being by yourself in spaces so that people can bump into you, like people can find you. It's not weird to be kind of on your own and being in the world in that way, but that is how we really do find other people. It's get into experiences. Don't just think about what a friendship would be like.
Right.
Do the things that you would do with your friend. What would you want to do today with your friend? And go do that thing, and then bump into the people. So, or at least
Exactly.
have a story about it when you do eventually find a friend, like all the things that you've done.
I love that. Thank you so much. And then
Yes.
where can people find you and your work?
Yeah, people can find me on Instagram at Glow Your Goddess, or my page is joyberkheimer.com. I have, like I said, an online platform where we have our support groups, we have classes, but it is all about community and, again, cultivating experiences, giving that real life feedback. Adult friendships, they can happen when you get out of your own way. You stop being afraid of what that's going to be like.
Thanks for hanging out with Self-Helpless. Feel free to share this with someone who could use it, and you can binge related conversations linked in the show notes. Ad-free episodes are now available on Patreon, and because I'm practically allergic to social media, the best way to get notified about new episodes is to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or join the email list at selfhelplesspodcast.com, where you will also find some free goodies like a watch and read list and the quote buffet. All right, love you big time, and thank you so much.